Hello, this is Reb Yoseph coming to you from the land of Israel. This week is Parshas Mishpatim, and it begins the detailed elucidation of the law. It encompasses basically laws that govern the conduct of society between two people, but it also includes things like what are considered legal holidays. Elu hamishpatim. These are the mishpatim, statutes, shall we say, that you will lay before them. The Chumash has given general rules of conduct in the form of the Ten Commandments: don't commit murder, adultery, or steal. And what Mishpatim does is go into them more in detail. The idea is that you simply cannot derive the details of what really constitutes theft in all cases just based on saying that you shouldn't steal. It's to a certain extent it's an act of kindness to go into the details. Previously in the Chumash it talks about chukim and mishpatim given to the Jewish people after the Exodus from Egypt. Chok is often translated as a rule or a law generally. Rashi talks about it and he says dinim. He uses the word din, often translated as judgments. Now, these three are often used interchangeably, even though they have slightly different nuances that shed light on just what law is all about. And the easiest one to start with is Mishpatim. The Patach Eliyahu discusses it, and he compares Mishpatim to a scale, the scale of justice, two sides, and there is no biases, an honest scale. The foundation of this idea is that you must be fair to two people, or generally fair, even fair to a bird, that you take it off the nest, or take one of the eggs. You shouldn't do it while the bird is actually sitting on it. Be a little bit kind to the bird. But certainly before two people, where one person is claiming the other person damaged him, what type of damages should be given. But the essence is weighing the two sides, properly evaluating them. Now that includes, though, the idea of mishpatim, some sort of standards, okay? Written standards. And when you're talking about written standards, that is what chukim are. What is written down? What is cut into stone? What do the books of record say that this is the law? When you're talking about chukim, it's what's written. Mishpatim basically is a refinement of that idea, in that it says that you must get a reasonable outcome. An example of this is Rashi's commentary on the pasuk that describes what happens if one person's ox gores another person's ox, and neither of the oxen were known for doing this type of behavior. And the Chumash says what you do is you sell the live ox and you sell the carcass and split the money. the idea is that the loss from the live ox will be divided equally between the two parties because you don't really know if one was more culpable than the other. Now Rashi says that only works though if you have a case where the two oxen are equal in value. He says, but if you have a case where the carcass of the dead ox is very valuable and the live ox is really not worth much at all, or the opposite, the carcass has little value and the live ox is very expensive, you could have a situation where either the victim or the perpetrator, shall we say, profits because he's going to divide the proceeds of an asset that is much more valuable than the asset that he's contributing. So Rashi says you cannot just mechanically apply this pasuk, and he concludes basically that the amount that the person who has the dead ox can receive is only up to half of the half of his actual loss, and even with this, it cannot exceed the value of the live ox. So, and in addition to that, the perpetrator, shall we say, the man who had the damaging ox, cannot receive more than he has to take basically between half a loss or no loss at all. He can't make money on the deal. That's basically Rashi's conclusion. That is within the realm of Mishpatim. It has to be fair. It has to be reasonable. When you get to dinim, you get it is a further refinement in that it adds a human dimension. The word dinim or din is related to the word ladun, to discuss. In other words, when you have a court case, specifically revolving around damages, it revolves around a discussion between the two parties in which the judge plays a role. And what the nature of the discussion to a certain extent will affect the outcome. And the point of this is that if a person feels very strongly about something, then it bolsters their case. If they don't feel particularly strongly about it, then the award would be less. The example given in the Chumash is a case where two men are having a fist fight, and one of them inadvertently strikes a pregnant woman, causing her to miscarriage. She isn't harmed at all, but the baby is lost. Okay, there's an issue of damages here. What is the value of this fetus? And what the Chumash says is that the husband will sue in court, and the court will give an appropriate award. In other words, he asks for something, and the court decides what he's going to get, and it's a case of him getting both compensatory damages and punitive damages. And it's not a case where it's just simply a mechanical calculation or a flat rate. In certain cases, it's where I think it's a person's bull gores a slave or something of that nature, where he gets 30 shekels. The amount is set. He doesn't get more, he doesn't get less. Okay? That's what he gets. In the case of the pregnant woman, it's going to be based on the discussion, or the discussion is going to have an impact. So what you've got within the law are three components. The what is specifically written, what is the written standard? The second one, is it fair? Is the outcome going to be fair? And one must consider the point of view of the litigants. Okay, so the commentaries continue to discuss it, and they say that, case Chachamim, Ramban, that you do not place a case for hedyotim, literally people who are dilettantes, someone who has a pedestrian knowledge of the material. The person must have a detailed knowledge, and they also must be intelligent people. And that basically when you're teaching the law, you should not just give a cursory presentation. Rather, you should present it to your students like a shulchan aruch, like a prepared table for them to absorb it properly. Thank you. Good Shabbos.